Commissioner, and then we'll get going. Sorry about the delay. We are going to start with the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and I need a list of or a motion to excuse absences and a list of absences.
I've got the list, Chair. Chair Jeff Edwards, Guillermo Cisneros from, Director Guillermo. Brooke Osterman technically resigned for awareness yesterday, and so that's hot off the press. And then Kyle Van Streen also is not going to be here.
And also Christine Bursch.
And Christine resigned last week. Yes, thank you. And then Martin is also not here, Utendo.
Okay, but he should hopefully.
Hopefully he's here, yes.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to excuse those absences?
So moved. Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Is there anybody with any conflict of interest on today's agenda? Thank goodness. Okay. Public comment on agenda items. If you're part of the presentation, you don't have to come forward, but, okay. Can I get a motion for the approval of the minutes from March 26th?
So moved.
Support.
Any changes? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Financial statements. We're going over our priority plan for the redevelopment.
Yes, thank you. So what we're looking at this morning are the priority plans for review today by the BRA, and we're seeking ultimately a recommendation of the fiscal year 26 budget to City Commission, which is anticipated to happen on May 13th. So what we want to do is, could we advance this? Thank you, Mackenzie. We've got, oh, yes.
I think we needed a motion for this one.
Oh, yes, please.
So
Thank you.
moved.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got two rather sizable papers in front of you. You've got the operating fund and also the local Brownfield revolving fund. What we're representing on the slide here is we're starting with the operating fund. We've got a few different columns on this paper that I just want to highlight. So we've got fiscal year 24 on the far left there. This is showing the fiscal year ending right June 30th of 24. And then we've got our adopted, actual, and estimate for fiscal year 25 there in the middle, so July 1st, 24 to June 30th, 25. The calendar year and fiscal years are kind of confusing at times, so I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of fiscal year 26 effective July 1st of 25. And so what's important to note in our memo and just on the plan here is the budget reflects, the growth of the program, certainly. We're resulting in a year-end fund balance at about $4 million, which is over 30% of where we were last year. We've got administrative costs under 5%, actually at 23% below budget due to just staff vacancies. And I wanted to just capture some of the project work as the operating fund mainly takes in revenues and disperses reimbursements to developers. So we had 16 different projects in the calendar year of 24, which is much greater than the previous year where we had only 6, right? So we went from 6 projects to 16, and that represented 2 rather sizable transformational brownfield plans totaling almost $1.7 billion in private investment, 2,000 residential units, and 2,300 anticipated new jobs. For context on that project number, the overall portfolio that the staff is administrating is 78 projects. And so what I need you to pay attention to this morning is the fiscal year 26 request there on the operating fund plan, which is really, it's very similar to what we saw last year. We're transferring we're recommending a transfer of $1 million from the revolving fund, or I'm sorry, from the operating fund to the revolving fund to represent grants and loans out of that fund. And this budget was really prepared with appropriations equal to 85% of the annual revenue, which ultimately allows us to approve projects without coming back to this board every time, right? So we're going to go to City Commission and do one fell swoop of an approval. And let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's any other items I want to mention on this one. Are there any questions on the operating fund before I jump over to the revolving fund?
Go ahead.
Yes, just one, I'm sorry, Lene, Director. Just a question on staffing levels. Do you feel comfortable with the trajectory of staffing?
Not yet, but we're on our way. We had a departure with Jess Solis in January, and so we've brought on Mackenzie Miller in the fall, and so we have a post right now for an Economic Development Coordinator 1 position that's open through May 15th, so please spread the word. We also are working to fill the Assistant Director position, which was posted for a second time yesterday, and so please, again, share with your networks. And then outside of that, I feel like we need to consider potentially more, but there's no plans right now in the recommendation to City Commission to add staffing. But I think it's something we need to contemplate for sure.
Thank you.
Even with the land bank coming in? Or is it because you don't know where that's going to land as far as administration?
For the BRA, we're not recommending any
Sorry.
staffing changes at this time.
Got it. Sorry, I was mixing the two. Ms.
Madam
Lene,
Chair.
turn on your,
Madam Chair, I just had a quick question for Sarah. The EPA grant, is that a multi-year grant then, or are we?
It is a multi-year grant. It's my impression, and I would welcome Christian to come up and just describe that more in detail, but it's my impression that projects under that funding haven't commenced yet, and so that's why we're seeing the dollars roll over.
They are multi-year grants, but we budget for full expenditure and revenue each year in the event that it allows us the freedom to spend all of the grant funds and receive all of the grant funds in the next coming fiscal year.
Okay, thank
Does that
you.
help?
Yep.
okay. Any other questions? Go ahead.
So could we switch to the next slide? Thank you, Mackenzie. Okay, so the local Brownfield revolving fund, this provides grants and loans to developers to help pay for reimbursement of costs of eligible activities. This last year, we did 11 projects. I'm talking fiscal year when I say that versus the two in prior year, which again, right, like we're significant growth on the project side, which is awesome. And we're seeing that reflected in the tax increment revenues that are coming in and ultimately the reimbursements that are going out. Similar to last year, and I mentioned with the operating fund, we're transferring $1 million out of the fund balance to the LBRF for grants and loans, and significant costs associated to the environmental site assessment grants and the emerging developer grants that are coming across the desk. Yeah, I mean, these are pretty straightforward numbers. Are there any questions here for the revolving fund?
Our treasurer.
No, no question here. I do think that I've got a couple of meetings coming up here. I think the momentum with the emerging developer program will be picking up pace
Yes.
in the next fiscal
We
year.
anticipate that. Yes.
The word is getting out.
Yes.
And that's a positive, I think.
Yes. And so you can see on this line, $4.7 million available for future projects. We anticipate, again, mainly comprising of emerging developer grants and environmental site assessment grants.
Madam Chair? Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you. Troy, you mentioned, just seeing an increase, and obviously it's reflected here as well. I want to thank, I believe it was your guys' department, maybe you worked also with planning, but held a a session 2 weeks ago, or last
Lunch
week.
and learn?
Yeah, lunch and learn for emerging developers. So I think, kind of that coupled with, working to share this in our corridor improvement authorities, just appreciate those activities to make sure that individuals know that these dollars are available.
Awesome. You have something else?
Support?
It's been supported. That's okay.
Okay, great. Yeah.
All right. If there aren't any other questions, all those in favor of moving this budget forward? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we go to action items. Can I get a motion to approve the invoices for 433 Leonard Street Northwest?
So moved.
Support?
Okay. We need,
Good morning, board members.
there you are.
This is a request on behalf of Thrice D LLC for the new home of DeVries Jewelers on Leonard Northwest. They have, I believe, fully moved a block west on Leonard to their new home. There's a picture of it in front of you. Total investment was $3.2 million. 12 jobs were retained from the old location with 4 new full-time jobs and 2 part-time jobs. This body entered into an agreement with the LLC in late 2023, and that project is now complete. The maximum reimbursement was just shy of $300,000, and they came in with actual Brownfield eligible invoices of $239,784 with the current payment due of $396.44. Like to also highlight their inclusion plan, which ended up at a 15% participation. And I included a photo of Lanning's Restaurant. I don't know that I ever ate at Lanning's, because I don't know that it was ever open. Maybe I have with us today James Lewis from Pinnacle Construction. Maybe he can add more context around how long Lanning's was there, but I think it was a long time. So
It was.
James, you're welcome to come up and invite James to share more about the project, and we have some more photos here of the
Nice.
project.
Thank you, Christian. I'm James Lewis with Pinnacle Construction, representing the DeVries brothers on this project. It went very well, very smoothly. We didn't have to use much contingency on it, which is why we're not using the whole Brownfield program. Demo and abatement was less than expected.
Nice.
And we had to replace a water line that we didn't expect to, and that was about the only difference. We reached out to about 35 minority contractors through construction, or found through Construction Allies in Action and through other various trade groups. We got a response rate of about 25%, and selected one as they were the only low bid in the process. Yeah, do you have any questions?
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's such a great new building, especially anchoring that corridor.
Yeah.
I had a quick question. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Just thinking about my colleagues on City Commission, thanks for sharing the number on the micro-local business side. Do you have a sense of, because I think sometimes we're like, how can we do more? But we also, I think, to answer the question of why people might not go after it, I think obviously a number of projects that might already be occurring in the city. Is there any other insight that you can share about why people maybe didn't bid on this project in that process?
I don't have
Okay.
a lot of
Okay.
insight as to why people choose to not
Okay.
put in, because we do notify usually a month ahead of time, before we send out the bid,
Sure.
right? And then we extend the bid process when we have inclusion plans to be more than, if we're not doing an inclusion plan, usually we're a 2 to 3 week bid process. With an inclusion plan, we want to be at least 4 weeks, and usually a couple
Okay.
weeks after that.
Okay.
To make sure that when people come in and they have questions about how the bids, their bids are like how they were putting it together, we take time to work with them to make sure that all the bids are level and that things are included on one or the other.
Okay.
But as to why people just choose not to do it at all,
Right.
I don't have a great
Okay.
sense of.
But this is helpful because I think, Sarah, this has often come up like at EDPT and also at our community development team. So this, I don't know if it's, I guess it's quantitative, a little qualitative, but maybe a little anecdotal, but this will be helpful for us as we go back and just share about different projects in the city. Thank you.
Troy?
Yes, if I may, I actually, in the last month, probably attended maybe 3 minority contractor events, one put on by the chamber, and it slips my mind the other 2. But I will suggest that those organizations reach out to you to invite you to these events, because in every case, there are a couple of projects that get presented to a cohort of minority contractors that they then bid on. And so I am surprised to hear that you weren't able to find contractors, but I think I can maybe assist in facilitating the starting conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relationship-based business, and we love to build new relationships.
Indeed.
Yep.
So I'd love to help.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great, awesome. Anybody else? Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And next, I need a motion for the resolution approving a work plan and approving and authorizing execution of development and reimbursement agreement for 301 Leonard LLC for a project located at 385 Leonard.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you.
Good morning, board members. I'm really excited to bring this particular Brownfield project in front of you as really the last stamp of approval prior to going off to the state of Michigan, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. As a reminder, this project has been before this body as well as City Commission. It is a construction of a new 5-story building, mixed-use project on an existing vacant parcel, about 3.5 acres on that. You'll see here there are 171 apartments listed. I did want to call out that the previous Brownfield plan that was brought in front of this body had 181 units, so that was dropped down by 10. So then the adjustments, just as you can see listed out, just based on the number of studios, which is about 43, 112 one-beds and 16 two-beds. You can also see too that 5 of the studios are going to be restricted to households that are earning at or below 70% of area median income, and same for the 1-bedrooms. 5 of those units will also be restricted, and then there are 26 other units that will be restricted as well to less than 100% of area median income. Approximately $39 million in total project costs, about 28.5 of those in construction costs. This project does also have a 15-year neighborhood enterprise zone certificate that was approved by City Commission, which is valued at approximately $2.9 million. Construction is anticipated right here, I think this is from a previous slide, but summer of 25, fall 25. James Lewis is here as well to chat a little bit more about the timeline for this particular project. And then I think still anticipated project completion of spring of 2027. So ultimately today we're requesting that we could approve the work plan, which then would allow us to send that off to the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, and then also authorize execution of putting together a development and reimbursement agreement for the project. And then in addition to this, the project is also pursuing funding through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation in the form of a community revitalization program loan. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know James is here as well to answer anything specific to the project if you guys might have it.
Anybody? Good question. Commissioner?
Thank you. Thanks for this overview, Mackenzie. I just had a quick question. This might be really specific. Do we usually use the word restricted? I mean, I feel like, obviously they have them available at the 70, and I think that's wonderful. I just think that, I just don't remember seeing a word like that specific word on the slide versus maybe set aside. Just thinking about I'm thinking more of on City Commission when people might see something and then they would say, well, why can't you make other people have things restricted? I don't know. I just think it's not as asset-based.
Sure. Maybe is reserved a better
I don't know.
term
I'm
moving
looking at an
forward?
old
I mean,
friend.
yeah.
Was that on the slide that came to City Commission?
I believe so. I can confirm, though. I
Okay.
can look back and triple check on that. I think ultimately, right, that term is used in our interim guidelines as well for housing TIF specifically. And, a portion
Yeah.
of the 20% of the
Yeah.
units, a minimum of 20% of the units have to be restricted below
Yeah.
120% of area median income.
I think, and maybe I'm just having a knee-jerk reaction to some things that come before me, and then I
that's
just didn't
fair.
remember. But Jay, I think you were going to say something. Sorry. Sorry, Madam Chair.
It's okay.
Yeah, James Lewis again, Pinnacle Construction. We often use the term income qualified. That's another
Okay.
one we'll use.
I think a word like that would be better, because I think sometimes people come to City Commission and they talk about rental caps or restrictions. So I think sometimes we are really used to this language, but other people might not be. And I think this is a project in my ward. I'm excited about this project. I feel there's been a lot of community engagement. It's, the street's going to get busier, but also we need more housing, so we're going to have to continue to contend with the things that are going to have an impact, but hopefully that have positive impacts on people. So anyways, that's my knee-jerk reaction.
No,
but
I
hope
appreciate that. Yeah, I
feedback
just
is
took a
okay.
note. We'll make sure that gets adjusted moving forward.
Thank you.
I appreciate the feedback.
Anybody else? Okay, all right. Yeah, this is going to be a nice infill for that area. Very nice. Okay, so hearing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I got it. All right, our next one I need a motion for is an approval of an amendment to FY 2025 Environmental Site Assessment Grant Application and Approval for the WMHCC Development Project.
So moved.
Thank you.
Support.
All right.
Okay,
Go
good
ahead.
morning again. This is, as you mentioned, requesting to approve an amendment for an existing site assessment grant application for the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce redevelopment project. So in July of 2024, the applicant was approved for an environmental site assessment grant valued at approximately $33,700 for for a phase 1, phase 2 baseline environmental assessment and hazardous materials site assessment. But the phase 2 costs had increased since the original proposal by $11,000, and those increases were due to having to sample soil gas throughout the building, the footprint of that, and then evaluation of PFAS that is in the groundwater. So those initial costs that were estimated for the phase 2 went up pretty significantly. So the request before you is to increase that request for the project. So it would be going from $33,700 to $44,900.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that. Anybody with questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Got it. Our next one is, I need a motion for emerging developer grant in the amount not to exceed $182,810 for a project located at 800 and 764 Powers Northwest.
So, support.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Right. So again, as Board Member Butler had mentioned before, we are seeing a lot of interest in the Emerging Developer Program, which is really exciting. This happens to be one of the two that are going to be brought before you this morning. This is vacant lots that are going to be converted into 2 separate buildings that are each going to include 4 different townhomes. So for a total of 8 townhomes. And as you can see here too, those units are going to be restricted to incomes that are 80% of area median income, 2 of those, and then the rest of them will be less than 100% of area median income for Kent County. Each townhome will have a separate garage and entry, and I know that the project has had significant conversations and a letter of support from the West Grand neighborhood to have that. I know that the project is also in front of planning as as well. So there's a lot of excitement around this particular deal. Adam Rogalski is here to speak on behalf of the project as well. But we're really excited too. The Emerging Developer Grant will cover expenses that are related to, to getting to site plan approval. And in this particular instance, it'll be for schematic design, architectural services, engineering, including civil, structural, mechanical, and geotechnical, some pre-construction consulting, and then also some survey work as well.
Awesome.
The total grant request will be $182,810. Total project costs are about $2.6 million, 2.1 of those being hard construction. And then in addition, the support that Adam is receiving is with Michigan Growth Advisors, Create 3 Architecture, and Naderveld Engineering. The project does anticipate to come back for additional brownfield support, likely through the Mishta Housing TIF program. But I wanted to leave an opportunity for Adam to share a few words about his experience, about the project, and then answer any questions that you all might have.
Absolutely. Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Adam Rogalski, and I'm the developer for this site. I wanted to just spend a few minutes telling you about my connection to the neighborhood, my development history, the timeline of this development, and a few more project details, and of course answer any questions, but just grateful for the opportunity to be in front of you today. In terms of my connection to the neighborhood, my wife bought a house around the corner in 2005. We met a few years later, and I started to spend a lot of time in this neighborhood. In 2009, we were married, and I moved in to the house that she had bought. 2011, we brought our first daughter home and lived in that house until 2013. When we had a job opportunity to relocate to Chicago, and the house was converted into a rental, but it allowed me to periodically come back to this neighborhood. I'm new to development. Again, this is my first project, though I have since 2011 invested in real estate with starting in single-family rehabs and duplexes. Almost all of those have been, that portfolio has been sold to hopefully start this project. In terms of the development timeline for this project, I purchased 800 Powers in 2022, and then in 2024, I purchased the adjoining lot, 764 Powers. In spring of last year, I engaged former Commissioner John O'Connor and current Commissioner Drew Robbins for their support of the project. I had a site visit with Director Turkelson and received her support for the project. I worked with the planning department and my architect on designs last year, and again met with the West Grand Neighborhood Organization and received their support. This process hasn't been easy. I experienced some real setbacks last fall, including the passing of my architect unexpectedly, and I also received feedback from some of the neighbors that the project that I envisioned didn't align with what they saw was appropriate for the neighborhood. As a result, I tabled the project for the rest of the year just to sort of reset and try and incorporate that feedback into the process moving forward and figure out who the new team would be moving forward, especially in terms of the architect. I'm excited to say that the team has been rebuilt, and the feedback from the neighbors have been incorporated into this project. One of the things that I've learned through this process is just because you're allowed to build something on a lot doesn't mean that that is what should go on that lot. And so we've scaled back, we've decreased the scale and the density of the project from 10 units to 8 units. It's got, it was 3 stories, it's down to 2 stories. Every unit has its own driveway and its own garage where the tenant can drive right into it. Every unit has its own front door. So it is a true townhouse versus an apartment style development. I've also met neighbors through this process that I've stayed in touch with, including emailing them last night and updating them on this process. Transparency and communication is something that I've learned throughout this process that the neighbors have have truly appreciated. And I can't communicate with all the neighbors, but I found the neighbor across the street has sort of served as a conduit or a captain for me to communicate with directly, and then he's able to disseminate those updates to his neighbors as well. The project, to me, it's small, but it's meaningful. And unfortunately, the economies of scale are not in my favor on this one, especially with the feedback that I'm trying to incorporate from the neighbors. And that's why this grant and these incentives are important to me, especially since I don't qualify for many of the state incentives. I see a need for this product on this vacant site, I'll pause there, answer any questions, and just appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the applicant? Renee, go ahead.
I was just curious, you're setting, these will be rented units? Is the plan for eventually you would sell them?
That's the long-term vision. I debated long and hard and had many conversations with realtors in town, and unfortunately, just the numbers just don't allow them to be available for sale in the short term. But that's a real possibility going down the road, is to put them up for sale.
Okay. Thank you.
Just wanted to say, because it's small doesn't mean it isn't important. It's very important for what we're trying to do. So thank you so much. Glad we could help. All right. Any other questions, Mr.?
No, just a comment. Yeah, it's, when we say small, right, these are big numbers to us as individuals, right? And certainly as a first-time developer. And so I just wanted to commend you on just persevering through the hardships.
Yeah, thank you. All right. If there's no other questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you so much for your time. Okay, we have the next item is another emerging developer grant. For some reason, I'm in emergency mode. Emerging developer grant in an amount not to exceed $190,000 for a project located at 800 Burton. I need a motion.
So moved. Support.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Last item from me
Also
this morning. They are so different, yes. So I also wanted to call out a typo that, excuse me, is in the memo. I believe it says that this existing lot is vacant. It is not. There is an existing building on site, so I apologize for the confusion if you noticed that. I did want to bring forward another exciting emerging developer project at 800 Burton Avenue Southeast. The ultimate request before you would be to approve the approval of moving forward with a grant agreement for $190,000 for this particular project. The existing plan for the project would be to demo the existing structure and construct a new 4-story mixed-use building with ground floor commercial space and 28 apartments on the upper floors. The project will be Energy Star certified and 100% universal accessibility, which is a really cool component of this deal, and the first that I have seen in my time here at the city, so I'm very excited to bring that particular item forward. As noted in my previous presentation, the grant expenses would cover for this particular project schematic design, environmental assessments, geotechnical analysis, survey, site plan, building evaluation, and pre-construction consulting. The developer for this particular project is Gabriel, and I am so sorry, my notes were right here, and his last name just slipped my mind. Grant, thank you. Gabriel Grant. So unfortunately, Gabriel was not able to be here today. He was planning to join us last week. He did present us with a video and wanted to share a few words on the project. So I would love to play that for you all real quick and then jump back into the project details.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gabriel Grant, and I am here to introduce the project, The Heights on Burton. A transformative project that's not just about buildings, but people, community, and equity. This will be a historic moment for Grand Rapids, as Grand Rapids' first 100% accessible and inclusive mixed-use building. Every apartment unit will be designed for 100% accessibility, because access shouldn't be an afterthought. it should be the foundation. At the same time, the Heights on Burton tackles one of the city's most problematic issues, affordable housing. Grand Rapids is in an affordable housing crisis, and we are answering with action. We are creating affordable, quality homes, not just for today, but for the future of this community. This is a deep investment to the Southeast Corridor, an area long overlooked for development. As someone who comes from this community, I will champion the new era of the Burton Heights. The name, the Heights on Burton, is intentional. It represents our belief that this community can rise with the right investment, with the right partners, and with bold, inclusive leadership. I am asking for the city's investment, not just in a building, but in a community and a legacy of inclusion. Let's make history together. Let's take Burton Heights to new heights. Thank you for your time.
Well spoken.
Very, yes, very. We're grateful that he was able to submit that in for the meeting. He was really excited about this project and grateful for the opportunity to be in front of you all. Ultimately, too, I wanted to mention for both emerging developer projects, really the end goal for that particular program is that to be eligible, it's your first development, and then in addition to that, you're being supported by a network of real estate professionals, other contractors, right? So that's ultimately the goal from an eligibility standpoint. And so in addition to this project, I wanted to note that Gabriel is working closely with Jonathan Van Kulen and Kurt Rephart from Collective Ventures, and then Sella Building Company as well. So I do have representatives from both agencies that are in the audience that if they're interested in sharing a few words, you're more than welcome, or answer any questions that you guys might have on this. But this project will ultimately be coming back as well to pursue housing TIF for this project, so you will likely see it again moving forward, but happy to take any questions that you guys might have.
Okay. He waited long enough. Come up, Commissioner.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for being here on a Thursday morning. It's not a Wednesday morning, but you made this special adjustment. And thanks for that introduction, Mackenzie. I'm here with our team that's coming together around this. John Van Kulen, Michelle Hoffner from Fishbeck is here, as well as Peter Scornia. We're also working with Landon Jones from Quantum Construction on this project. I encourage you to look at the narrative that Gabriel submitted. I'm thankful that he could send in the video. I look forward to meeting him, but he tells a bit more about his personal passion for the accessibility component in particular. That's his story to tell, so I encourage you to look at that in the narrative. But he did grow up in this neighborhood, and he's gone off and had some great success. And now he wants to reinvest in this way, and so this is a new expertise that he's developing in real estate development. So this grant is perfect for that because it allows for a team of people to walk alongside him to success. So it will be a 4-story mixed-use development. The goal is 20 apartments. Hopefully, at this point, the target is to be around 80% AMI. The investment will be between $4.5 and $6 million. City planning is supportive of the preliminary concept and even trying to encourage some higher density if we're able to achieve that. We will work with the Southtown CIA and approach MEDC, their facade program of this grant, as well as housing TIF. I will say that the universal design is going to be the hallmark component of this, and Gabriel's business is really essentially to help others to be able to live with disability in a variety of ways, and so this project will support that. And will be a great story to tell. I also think that the Eastern Corridor is I was just on the Eastern Corridor with Commissioner Perdue last week, just down the street from this. And the tools that this board has available to them to stimulate development, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in this area. And we're just thankful that you're considering using this tool to support Gabriel in his project. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody have questions? Okay, I have one. He mentioned in his video that these are affordable, but it's not listed here that there's any, what did you say? What was the word you used? Available. Units at a lower.
Yeah, so I believe Kurt had just mentioned that they're planning on 80% of area median income for
80%,
these
okay.
units. Yes.
On all of them?
I believe so.
At this time, I mean, I think that we're still in the
Sure.
process
Yeah.
of that in this early stage, but
Yeah.
that's our target. is that
Perfect.
there'll be-
Wow, that's awesome. Good for him. Thanks for helping him. Anybody else have questions or comments? Okay,
Just an endorsement of Mr. Grant. I came to know him in my capacity as a commercial banker when he was sort of getting started in his business career and expressing his passion and supporting others that have had, disabilities thrust upon them. And so just want to, endorse him as a human, as a person, so.
awesome. All right, all right. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Other business. Okay, I just want to make a comment for those of you who didn't hear, but Christine and Brooke have resigned from the board. Both have taken new jobs, so we congratulate them on that and thank them for their service, so.
Madam Vice Chair, do we need to elect a new secretary?
We will, won't we?
Maybe at our next meeting?
Maybe next meeting, we can arrange that?
Okay, great.
Thank you, that's a great idea. Seeing so, yeah.
And then I believe Ms. Renero, just to clarify since we were talking about it before, Ms. Osterman is going to be still on the Land Bank Authority, right? She hasn't resigned from that authority at this time?
Right.
Right, okay.
She resigned from the EDC this morning.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's effective immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or essentially is clarifying her resignation yesterday, so it would still be effective. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and just as a comment, we just approved helping 199 units today of housing, so that's awesome.
Good recap.
All right, do we have any public comment? No? Okay, hearing none, we'll adjourn the Brownfield and move right on to economic development. Okay,
So moved. Support.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, financial statements, interim financial statements, who's going to cover those?
I'm going to cover those. Tricia is not here this morning. So we last met in December.
Thank you, everyone.
And we've spent approximately 67.7 of the budgeted appropriations. Mainly since December, it's staff and sponsorships. Outside of that, there's been nothing significant.
Yeah. We haven't done a whole lot. Okay, all right. Sorry, I don't think I got a motion on this, did I?
Do we have to take up, I don't think we have to on financial statement. Oh, we do, I'm sorry.
Support.
Okay, now I need Lene back to
Yes,
do the vote. Sorry.
I appreciate all of you here.
I guess while we wait, I have a random question.
Yes.
Note 2 has been on, I think, the EDC meetings for a really, really long time. And can someone explain to me Note 2,
It was
please?
my fault. I was on the EDC right after finishing on the city commission, and the EDC voted, much to my chagrin, that to give the money to the city to do borings and different things that we do to qualify land over on the site at 201 Market, because there was a developer interested in that property. And I said that I wanted a note stating that they were going to repay it. because I didn't want it to get lost.
Understood.
So it has been on there, but I thought it got repaid since it was purchased.
It hasn't been sold yet. So we anticipate the proceeds of that paying that back. Yeah.
I believe that's in next fiscal year 2026.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
We anticipated last year, which didn't happen. It's still in negotiation, so we anticipate that this year.
Got it. Thank you.
Question.
That was my fault. So we did the interim financial statements for March, and we have a motion and a support. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next action item, I need a motion for is a fiscal year 26 to 30 priority plan for the Economic Development Corporation.
Support.
Okay.
Okay, good morning again. So this is on page 10 of your packet. It's also on the screen. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Again, very similar to what was presented last year. We've got our three different main columns there with the actuals in '24 and our activity for fiscal year '25, and then our fiscal year '26 request. And I want to just remind everyone that most of the revenues for the EDC are generated from fees from all of our programming, right? So industrial facilities, tax exemptions, commercial facility, all of the other tools that we administer. And that from the slide, you can see revenues are anticipated to be above budget, and expenditures are anticipated to be below budget. What we're looking at that is for this fiscal year. For fiscal year '26, we anticipate expenditures for ongoing operations approximately $69,000, as well as strategic plan implementation. And strategic plan implementation gives us a little bit of freedom to spend on new initiatives that are not yet known at this time. Otherwise, I'm happy to take any questions. The other thing I wanted to mention actually is that the sale of 201. So Director Butler was yes, mentioning that as well, and that's the other highlight.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Oh, okay, we have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, other business. Okay, public comment. Staff has none. Okay, we're going to adjourn this meeting. Now, let's talk about land bank. What do you want to do with this?
Unfortunately, we don't have quorum. So I don't think we can.
Because this budget needs to come before City Commission before the May 13th meeting.
Right.
So
I don't know the mechanics of that. I would welcome others to comment on the necessity, but it's my impression it needs to be recommended by the LBA in order to get in front of commission. So we would need to have another special meeting for the Land Bank Authority prior to the 13th. And I'm happy to talk in generalities around that budget. I know that the treasurer and I and staff went through that. It's really administrative heavy with the contracts that we anticipate for fiscal year '26.
Right. Can we do that? I'm probably wishing beyond wish.
I had the same thought.
Can we do it?
We can't.
We can't do it online?
I just checked with our attorney. No, it's, no, we cannot do it over email, and we cannot do it virtually.
Great.
So, what's today?
Yeah, I guess-
May 1st, May 11th.
Don't rush it. woman.
Don't. That's my husband's birthday. So May 1st, and
When do you need it?
if we need it if it's for May 13th, then typically it should be like a whole nother week, right, Christian? I'm looking at you as like the elder statesperson. Sorry. You didn't like that. But probably a week before, or we communicate
I think
with with executive office that we've tried now twice. Okay.
Yeah, we can just prep for the 13th.
Just let
like
them
we
know
would.
that it'll be coming. Okay. I mean, obviously, your office has done the work. We had that meeting set. We I think everybody here was going to come or, had unexcused absence, and then today. So I'm committed to finding a time. It sounds like everybody up here is as well.
Does the doodle, like, that works okay to
Yes,
get the
okay.
best, okay.
We should
so
probably
we
get
could-
that out.
But everybody needs to
Sure.
do it right away. Maybe we can, maybe up here, could we kind of see if we're a majority and we need one more person?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So then
What a-
you're not waiting on a doodle, but thank you for doodling, Chad.
Commissioner, the only thing I would add is
Yeah.
that staff would be preparing the budget approval request for the city commission. We will be submitting that request prior to, it sounds like,
Yes.
the actual approval of this body, the Land Bank Authority. So what I would do in that case is prepare the city commission request as contingent upon the approval of a forthcoming approval by the Land Bank Authority of the budget.
Okay.
Just throw that language in
Okay.
there, so it just triggers as approved when the city commission also approves it.
That's what you suggested the other day too, Lynn, right? Yeah.
That would be my only comment.
Okay, thank you. I mean, are there any considerations for your team, Sarah? I mean, I know Doug's gone today, but, because he was planned to be gone, and this was a refresh, but is there any other considerations for your team next week that we should be aware of?
With regard to anything in particular?
Just if somebody might be out of the office, or you're unable to have this meeting
Oh,
scheduled, so.
I think we'll make that work.
Okay. Is next week Wednesday morning good for folks? I mean, we typically meet on a Wednesday. I mean, it's obviously a different Wednesday of the month, but,
That wouldn't work for me. I'll be in Lansing.
okay.
Early, like 8:30?
8:30.
Yeah.
It's going to take, what, 10 minutes?
Hopefully it can take 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
thinking.
It works for me.
Yep. How about you?
I can do 10 minutes.
If we do 8:30, and then let's see if we can get, if Kaylee's not here, let's just be like, Brooke, you need to be here, and I don't know what, I know Jeff's father passed away, so I don't know all the, the details of what he's doing, and then hopefully Guillermo. And Kyle, I feel like Kyle's pretty responsive. He
Yeah.
must have just had something
Sure.
today. Is that fair?
So the 7th at 8:30, is that what we're saying?
As the tentative date, assuming that we can.
Can
you wanna
anybody?
Do we have a backup just in
One
case?
alternative?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
So maybe,
8th?
could the 8th work closer to lunch?
8th works anytime for me.
I cannot make the 8th.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Which one? Planning Commission?
Could we meet in 9:01? Oh, no, that's not, okay.
I can meet,
I can do,
if the 9th was the
Anytime.
only time that worked, I would make it work.
I can do, oh, you got city commission.
Is there a later time on the 7th that could work?
I could do the 7th
What time?
I can
afternoon,
only do it in the morning.
Only in the morning. okay.
morning. I could do early morning on the 7th,
Okay.
or anytime on Friday the 9th, if that's
Okay.
I can too.
a must.
Friday looks pretty open, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not for me, but
Oh, okay.
maybe other people.
Okay,
yeah, at least then that gives you two options to be
Okay.
flexible. but-
okay.
So what are
We
we looking
need,
at,
we need
7th and
6 of
9th?
us here
I'm
for
sorry.
that one, right?
Yep.
Since Brooke is not
Right.
resigned.
Right.
Okay.
What dates are we looking at then?
So the 7th at 8:30, and then, yeah, any particular time on the 9th that's best for everyone? Outside of 11 to noon?
I'm free all day.
I'll be dragging myself in here, but for you, Sarah. Just kidding.
I so
I can do it.
appreciate you. 10:30, 8:30? What,
I prefer 10:30.
10:30, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Can you put those as holds, Chad? Okay. Oh, you're the best. And snacks, no. For a 10-minute meeting, not required, no. We were joking about that earlier.
Kind of crazy, but I prefer not to send this back to the city commission without a quorum.
No, not given all the, I was like, please don't.
Yeah.
And if you need
Make it not work.
or if you need to come back, let us know, but hopefully those 3 individuals.
There are 2 of them.
Two of
can
them,
make
yeah.
and if
Yes.
when
Did
they
you say you
can.
could do Friday?
Thank you for your
Okay.
flexibility.
Okay.
Kaylee said, just not the 7th. Okay, so Friday ends up being a backup. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Sorry about that, city colleagues. It's